Welcome to another CEO Wisdom Pod. We have Ryan Frankel with us today. He's a CEO of Workup. He's a Forex company founder, senior business consultant, health and wellness content creator, and also an Ironman. So today we're gonna have a fun convo about his background. He sent me some quite entertaining answers to my questions, and you're gonna see why in a moment. So Ryan, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Well, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me. Currently building a health and wellness marketplace called Workup. It's at workuphq.com. It's a discovery platform for consumers to discover only the highest quality longevity health and wellness brands, specifically the products and services that they offer, as well as information tailored towards a broad audience of individuals who all have their unique needs. And so it's a business that I'm personally passionate about, and I think it's a business that's very timely given our collective focus on preventative healthcare.
Interesting. Well, let's start with the Ironman stuff. So you competed in one like with less than 12 months of training. I think I did that as well, but starting with a half, was it like a full that you were doing? And was it your first one?
It was my first one. I was a college baseball player and after I graduated. There's something about being, 5'9", 140 pounds. The scouts don't just like jump off the paper and say, we gotta come meet you. When I graduated from college, took my career to New York. I was a private equity investor for Goldman Sachs for a number of years, investing the firm's capital in private companies across the U.S. Living in New York, it wasn't, a huge opportunity to play baseball. And so it was like, where do I find an outlet for my athletic prowess and my enthusiasm for endurance, for sports in general? A friend of mine was a triathlete. He's like, you should try triathlon. What's a triathlon? I had no idea. He's like, well, you swim, you bike, and you run. I'm like, well, I don't know how to swim. I literally don't know how to swim. I've probably ridden my bike, a couple of times in my life. And, the number of miles that I'd run collectively over a college baseball career was like in the single digits. But I was like, you know what, this sounds great. Let me get involved. And, in a matter of a couple of weeks working together, I was like, let's sign up for a race. And of course, me wanting to do something big, I signed up for the biggest race I could find, which was an Ironman. It was 12 months later. And so I went from, not knowing how to swim, having really very little experience biking and running to, crossing the finish line 12 months later, and what was a profoundly rewarding experience.
Wow, that's quite inspiring. Why did you start it in finance also? Why Goldman Sachs straight up out of the gates?
I had a great summer internship there. I worked with some great people. Ultimately, like I had a great advisor at the time who basically told me, look, you're doing right in life if you can surround yourself with people smarter than you are, who can elevate your own performance as a professional. And I got that experience at Goldman. I was surrounded by some of the smartest folks I could have hoped to be with coming out of a college career.
And then you started a company, your first company, I think it was Verbalizeit, right, in 2011, and that one got acquired a couple of years later.
That's right. So I connected with a classmate of mine. So I left Goldman. I got my MBA here in Philadelphia at Wharton. I wanted to be an entrepreneur after that experience of investing in private companies. I wanted to be on the other end of the coin. I wanted to be the recipient of capital, not the provider. I left Goldman, started my MBA career at Wharton, had a great friend and classmate of mine who shared a passion for foreign language as well as travel. And so the two of us built a language translation platform called Verbalizeit. It's a company we incubated in an accelerator program called Techstars, took it on the TV show Shark Tank, and ultimately grew the business out of New York for a number of years before we were acquired by another translation company.
And was it a life-changing exit? I think you wrote a book after that, like after you were done with that one.
I wrote a book about it. It was a phenomenally rewarding experience as an entrepreneur. It was my first kind of real foray into the startup world, and it was the catalyst for me to begin the journey that is the entrepreneurial career.
Interesting. And after that one, educated, like one team, your career, you seem to be going in one niche, then the other. Do you just follow your passion? Like, how do you find like the specific product market fit that you're going after?
For me, it's all about personal passion aligned with market opportunity. And so, for me as an Ironman triathlete and as a fitness enthusiast, Eduplay represented my own personal challenges with finding high quality nutrition coaches, specifically registered dietitians. And what we found is like, look, if you don't live in a top tier city, you don't necessarily have the access to the best in class professionals in the nutrition space. And so built a telehealth platform. This was a decade ago when telehealth was kind of at its nascency. And it was kind of like a talk space, if you will, for nutrition coaching. It was a profitable company. It wasn't super scalable. I wound that down to start a social impact company called This App Saves Lives. That was also born out of personal experiences. I was out on a road bike training for my next triathlon, and a driver ran a red light while sending a text message, and I was involved in a pretty horrific accident, fractured a number of bones in my body. And so the business of rewarding consumers for not using their phone for distracting purposes, um, was born out of my own personal pain point as well.
Oh, that's yeah. I have never been injured on the bike, but yeah, I've heard so many people that got hit while like riding a road bike. I think it's pretty dangerous statistically. And that one, did you get an exit as well? Because I see that after that you sort of returned to being a freelance for Mastercard, which is must have been pretty lucrative. But did that one succeeded or failed?
It was a huge social impact success. It wasn't, a massive financial success by any stretch of the imagination. So on the financial side, it was chalk it up to a a very good learning experience. And ultimately, like it was a brand building experience for me personally. But we also saved a number of lives and reduced accidents and injuries from phone-based distracted driving. And so, from a social impact standpoint, it was a resounding success.
And nowadays, workup and longevity, like, does that all add up together?
It does work up, again, for me, like, as a health conscious consumer, one of the things I've always looked for is like access to best in quality information, products and services. And there's never been a marketplace that serves that up to me. And so you think about like the Expedias of the world do that for travel. They enable us to identify the right travel partners, the right airlines, hotels, rental car agencies, and it enables those agencies themselves to identify their consumer audience on a single platform. And nothing like that exists in the health, wellness, and longevity space. And so for me, this is an exciting opportunity. And it's also, it speaks to the market right now. People are, smartly taking proactive control of their health as opposed to waiting to get sick. And so this is an opportunity that also aligns with a real demand from today's consumer.
Right. And I love the website here. It's pretty clean. How do you decide like what tests to sell, for example, or actually you sell a bunch of product, like how do you decide what product to put forward on the marketplace sort of?
So every brand and every product that you see in the marketplace today has been highly curated by our team of individual experts, advisors. We look specifically at, the quality of the underlying science. Is this a product or service that's really grounded in real science that has validity? We look at the caliber of the leadership team, the funding status. Obviously, you don't want to put up a company on there that's not going to be around in the long haul. We look at customer reviews very carefully, and we take feedback. And look, we haven't nailed it yet. There's obviously going to be brands on there that one day may not be on there, but we're certainly laser focused on only providing best in class brands.
Interesting. And the business model, you take a cut out of the products that you sell. How much is it?
Brands actually pay us for feature placement on the platform, coupled with eventual, to your point, a commission from the marketplace. And moving forward, we're going to offer consumers a premium solution as well that weaves in AI that helps them effectively work with an AI guided coach to create a protocol and a regimen that aligns with where they are today versus where they want to be as far as their goals are concerned.
Right. And does it, what's hot nowadays? What product are hot? Is it like the test product at first to see like what you actually have that? Does most people start that way that are visiting your site?
Yeah, right now, a lot of people come in looking for information, and then within the information, they'll find the specific test they're looking for. Some people will come in and know exactly what kind of test they're looking for, so it really runs the gamut. And some of the hotter categories include longevity, men's health, women's health, gut health. Those are kind of the big four.
And what is your stack nowadays? Like, did you get extensively tested on all these levels? And what supplements do you recommend on your side for like a busy CEO, hybrid athlete?
Yeah, I'll start with the supplements, and I'll start with my stack. My stack is very much focused on the main pillars of longevity, which, it's not, sexy supplements or, secret potions and lotions. It is, move your body, high quality nutrition, get your sleep, take care of your stress, have social relationships, work with your medical practitioners for preventative care. Those are the core. Everything else is icing on the cake. So for me, once I've nailed those down, I certainly take creatine monohydrate. I take multivitamin, omega 3s, um, the typical supplements that you would expect, pre-workouts, high quality protein. But again, the core of what I do on a daily basis is really focused on those pillars I mentioned.
Right. How do you manage your stress as a busy CEO yourself?
Friendships for sure. Having a good network of friends, sounding boards, people that I can count on. So having a high quality social network. But I'd say the biggest way for me to manage my stress, apart from time spent with my family and my friends and my two young kids, is getting out in nature and completely disconnecting from technology for at least 30 minutes a day. Doesn't matter if it's snowing, raining, cold, hot, just do it. Disconnect. um, it has reverberating impacts for me, at least on my stress. And also, I've found that, like, some of the best ideas can come from when you're disconnected. I get the same experience when I jump in the swimming pool. I'll do a few laps, swim for 30 minutes. Nobody can text me while I'm in the pool, and I'll get a great business idea, right? And I'll write it down, or I'll come up with a concept for another venture or something to support my current ventures. And those are the kind of benefits that also come out of those moments of disconnecting.
Interesting. Then your nutrition, how do you narrow that down, like to make sure that your gut likes it, that you're energetic after what you eat, but also, I guess, optimizing on time, right? Sometimes we don't always have time to go out and buy the ingredients and then cook them. So how have you solved the nutrition part in your life?
It's a great question. I think time is the biggest challenge to prepare high quality meals. So like on a Sunday, I will try to batch prep a number of different meals for that week. I will work with meal delivery companies, but obviously, like, it's not always economically, it doesn't always make economic sense for everyone. And so, like, I do cook a lot. My wife cooks a lot. Um, you know, but I prioritize high quality nutrition for sure. And so I think very, very carefully about getting, not just high quality nutrition, but high quality protein. For me, I'm very laser focused on protein. I found through trial and error that a day filled with high quality protein leaves me satiated and leaves me energized, opposed from, when I eat a lot of carbs, I feel sluggish.
Hmm, interesting. The doctor panel part, you offer so many tests on your website. You said that working with your health professional, right? Like, do you just go with their recommendations and what they have, or do you also go hybrid and order some of these online panels?
It's a combination of both. I would say for one, working with a high quality medical practitioner, I work with Parsley Health, I work with Function Health. These are two great brands, and there are others that I work with currently, to get guidance and advice. Two is I test both trial and error, like what works, what doesn't work. For me, dairy doesn't work. Dairy no longer works for me, and but that was a trial and error thing. I started to have issues with it, and I went all in on dairy and said that's the issue that I'm having right now. And then three is, I'll order a test. I'll do a gut microbiome test. I'm a big data oriented individual, and so I like data, and data can tell me a lot about how I can orient my nutrition.
Interesting. Last but not least, the sleep part. I'm checking out 8 Sleep right now, but in Mexico is like twice as expensive. So is fancy stuff like Pelotons, for example. So it's always like interesting to make the cost vs ROI calculation of these things. How do you optimize your sleep nowadays? Do you have a routine and do you have a tech stack for that too?
Yeah, my routine is pretty standard. It is no technology within an hour or two of bed. I try to limit screen time. I try to prioritize 8 hours of sleep. So I, try to get up at the same time every single day, which means going to bed at similar time every single day. I'm, not embarrassed to admit I'm in bed by 10 p.m. I'm usually up before 6, but I try to get to 6. Bedroom is dark as hell. It's cold. Um, and that's it. That's my focus. No supplements, no stack beyond those basics.
What do you think of folks like Brian Johnson that just over optimize everything? Is it good for the industry? Does it scare most people away? It's like, oh, I need to be perfect, or is it actually a good step of introducing people to longevity and biohacking?
I think it's both. I think it's a good step to raise awareness. I mean, Brian has built a brand for himself. He has garnered a whole lot of media attention, which in turn drives media attention towards longevity. It drives media attention towards health and wellness. So I think it's a phenomenal thing. Brian's approach is for Brian only. He's an N of one. Nobody is going to spend the amount of money or uh, basically make themselves a test tube for every single medical, every single supplement, every single medicine, every single approach to health and wellness. I think he's like on the ultimate extreme, but I think he's done great things for creating brand awareness. And so I'd say the other thing that, I like Brian. I don't know him personally, but I like the work he's doing as far as creating that awareness. But he does give the longevity space more of a biohacker, like let's hack my body, hack my mind approach, which I don't think it needs to be that way. I think if we nail some of those core pillars of moving your body, high quality nutrition, sleep, and you name it, you don't need to take $1 million worth of supplement to improve the length, but also the quality of your life.
I'm reading on your Twitter here that you had an unfortunate airline experience. One reason why I don't travel nowadays as an ex slow mad is that yeah, it was anti biohacking every time I would step in an airport or an airplane, whether we're talking about the massive stress it generates or yeah, just the bad experience, the bad health experience, right? So what do you do when you're stuck in these horrible situations?
Well, the airport travel, I mean, travel is unavoidable. It's part of my daily business. So the offset is you have to be more adaptable and flexible when it comes to nutrition. Bring your own food or identify high quality, places to eat at. Sleep in a hotel room is a different bag. It's not always dark. It's not always cold. There's always noise. Getting in a workout is always questionable. But the offset is like from a mental health standpoint, it's great to experience. Try out a new city, try out a new country. Develop a fondness for a new culture. So I think there's benefits to both.
You run a newsletter. What's your strategy behind that one? Like a Substack, for example. What kind of results have you seen so far from it?
I run a Substack. It's called Longevity Today. It's Ryan Frankel at Substack.com. It focuses specifically on everything a consumer should know when it comes to health and wellness, and specifically longevity. It's something born out of my own personal passion for the space. Something I launched prior to building out Workup, and it's something I still publish a whole lot of content on today.
And what's your growth priority as a CEO for this year for Workup? What do you have on the growth map?
We're building out the database of providers. So today we have 250 high quality brands on the platform. There are a whole host of other ones that are deserving of feature placement. And then getting consumers aware that Workup exists. If you have a desire to take control of your health and wellness and you don't know where to start, whether it's the right information, or you know what you want, but you don't know like what's the best at home colon cancer screening kit or lab kit to order or longevity clinic to visit. And where do you go for that? We want people to know that when you visit Workup, it's workuphq.com. You are going to find only those best-in-class information and brands.
Last but not least, you're a lifelong learner. What are you reading nowadays? Are you still reading book or mostly using ChatGPT deep researches? Like, how do you grow that brain of yours?
On the business side, I do a whole lot of research. ChatGPT is great. I read a whole lot of the prominent publications out there, the New York Times, Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal. I like to stay on top of the news. TechCrunch. I definitely read. I like to read nonfiction. Currently pouring into an oldie but goodie with David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me. But I'm always reading about like the entrepreneurial journey. I love reading stories about successful companies. So I'm reading 2 books at a time right now.
Can't Hurt Me is probably one of the books I've reread the most because it doesn't ever fail to bring up that fire in you, right? Like I think most business books, if you're like me, you've probably read all the business books that ever exist, or at least the good ones, right? And the IQ on that level is sort of max, but the emotional fire, there's very few books that light a fire like that one. What do you like about it?
It's exactly that, right? It lights a fire. It teaches you that, very few of us ever reach our potential. It also reminds me not to get comfortable. Comfort's great in some ways, but like the second you become comfortable, to some extent you can become stagnant. But for me, I'm always looking to grow. And the book reminds me that, by putting myself in uncomfortable situations, by pushing myself to the brink, I'm advancing professionally and I'm advancing personally.
So what else do you have on your 2025 like high pain slash endurance events that you're gonna put yourself through to grow on the second level?
Yeah, I'm focused on strength training. I've overemphasized endurance athletics over the years, and so for me, getting in the gym and putting on the muscle is that's your body armor. That's critical for longevity. Doing a number of half marathons. I've got some charity bike rides to raise funds for causes near and dear to my heart. Um, and I'm looking to get out there on the road and get on my bike. Um, A, because I love it, and B, it's good for me, and I think it's good for my kids to see me do this as well. I like to be a role model for my kids, and I've got a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, and they're already like into fitness. They come down, crank with me in the basement. They're already getting into it, which is very rewarding for me as a parent.
And how did they get into it? Just by seeing you like crush it on a daily basis and being around you? Simple as that, or?
Simple as that. They absorb everything. They like watching me work out. My wife's a runner and an athlete as well, so they see it from her, and so like this is an important thing to instill at an early age.
Yeah, good thing to know. So they'll just see me do business on a daily basis and crunch very painful workouts, and hopefully they'll get into it without me having to tell them. Right? Like I think one thing in parenting, it's action over words. Like kids, they watch your actions. They don't really care about words, which should be that way, right? Like me, when I talk to people, I don't really listen to what they have said. Just like I check what they do. And if what they do doesn't follow what they say, then I just don't trust them, right?
That's exactly right.
So Ryan, thanks for being on today. Where can people find out more about you?
So they can learn more about me, my LinkedIn, Ryan V. Frankel. My Substack is ryanfrankel.substack.com. Our company is workuphq.com. You can also email me directly. I always love to hear from people. My work email is Ryan at workuphq.com. That's Ryan at workuphq.com.
So I was Ryan and Charles for